In this video, I'm going to demonstrate some of the interaction methods used in my game, Intrepid Intents. So, in this case I'm testing with a single controller, and you can see I've got quite a large cursor. And items that you can interact with have a cursor, have an icon above them. So if I put the cursor over that icon, you'll see you get a progress bar. Now as that progresses to the top, I can then pick that item up. So there's been no button press to pick that up, and you don't need to be holding grip or any buttons to maintain it in your hand. And you can see it has a smooth motion that follows your hand just to reduce any handshake. So similarly to drop that, again I can hold my cursor over the icon and let it progress. Now to speed that up, there is an option as well that I can press a button and make that more of an instant pickup. And any button on the controller will do the same thing, so I could use the trigger or the grip, whatever's comfortable for the user to use. But as I say, that is optional. And if you, rather than using a controller, you can also use your gaze to do the interactions. And in that case, you can simply look towards the icon and you'll get this cursor that follows your gaze. And at the moment, you just wait for the progress bar to expire, but in the future I would like the user to be able to speak to do the same as a button press and speed that interaction up. So now we're holding our hammer, I can use the same technique of the icons to navigate to a new point. And you'll see the icon above this crate tells me that I can hit it. So we can use the same technique again. And when I've selected that icon, you can see the hammer is now hovering over it, and there was a countdown. So when the countdown expires, the hammer returns to us. So again, there's no mandatory button presses here. And while it's over the crate, within that time I can move it around a plane that intersects with that crate. And I can smash it. So I could have just walked over and broken it, or I can use my hammer and do a remote interaction, just like with the remote grab. Now the important thing about this is I'm trying to give the player a sense of control, rather than just doing it for them and just pressing a button and shooting the crate and exploding. I want them to have that pleasure of wielding the hammer and moving it around, making them feel empowered rather than taking something away from the interaction and making it overly simplistic. So if I put the hammer back down, so you'll see the icon changes for the action that you've got. We've also got a lever over here. So exactly the same again, I can just hover the icon over it or use the button to grab it. I've got a countdown that tells me how long I've got to complete that interaction. So if I can't figure it out, then the controller is going to return to me again. And you'll see on all these interactions, this little jewel actually moves out and grabs the lever as well, just so you can see that you're moving the hand and the jewel's moving. Now if I move the lever to one of the extremes, then it finishes the interaction early. So in this case, I can lower this platform down and I can raise it back up again. So again, the idea here is, like with the hammer, I'm trying to give that element of control. Now if you can see my wrist movement, they're very slight movements. I'm not requiring a lot. So the fact that you've not got to hold grip buttons down and press buttons, it's all going to reduce the fatigue effect on the player. It should be a very relaxing, calming game to play that they can play for a longer period and still feel comfortable. And again, it's given them that feel of control. They've got precise control from a distance to have that kind of rewarding feedback that they're actually reaching out and moving that handle, even if they're not able to easily do that in real life. And just one more example. So here's a button, which is a very trivial thing in a UI. You would just point at it and click. So the same idea, I'm going to look at the icon, but you'll see my little jewel, again, it travels out and it presses that button in. So rather than making it feel like a mouse click, again I'm following this principle that I want to feel that they've interacted with that button in a physical way. And that's important, so you're having this physical interaction with the world around you. And you can imagine just using this icon-based approach. There's a lot of ways you can interact with the world. And here I can pick up a statue, so I can carry this around now. And one of the goals is the game, you've got to find and replace all these statues. When you're interacting, you can only interact with items that are within the highlighted area that you can see there. So you can teleport any distance, but you've got to be close to an item to actually grab it. And it's also important that you don't get too close to an item. If you're on top of it, then you've got to really bend your neck and look down. So what we do is we have these teleport points that are set back a bit, so you don't really have to adjust your neck a lot. You're not straining to look around up too much, down too much. You can easily see it, and you don't have to move your arm much to do the interaction. So there needs to be a fair amount of careful planning goes into the level design to accommodate the accessibility features. It's not just about flicking a few switches and adding a few options. The whole game is designed around easing the strain on the user and making things easier for them. So I hope you find that interesting. If you read the article that's linked to this, and let me know if you've got any questions on it. And I'd love any feedback or thoughts on the ideas. Cheers.